Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben here with Brian to talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Australian Survivor, Australia versus the World. We are down to our final four, and Parv and Sri are still here, along with Luke and Janine, and crazy set of episodes to get us there, especially episode 7. I did not expect, Brian, to see a double eviction, as Lisa put it, on Australian Survivor before Big Brother this year.
That's a very good point. We still haven't seen it. There's only a month left in Big Brother, and yet we're here first. Has to be tough to walk into Tribal Council wearing an immunity necklace and walk out of Tribal Council the same night voted off through no fault of your own, really. We saw.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it.
Not no fault, but yeah. We saw the decimation of the international players, all in very quick succession, which was pretty wild. And we lost a fan favorite, Shawnee, who, she says she's retired. I've heard that before from her. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe now that she lost out on getting Jonathan's job, maybe that'll change her mind and she'll have to retire.
Yeah, how crazy was that she said that, and then they were like, that's what got them thinking about replacing Jonathan.
It's crazy that they left that in the edit retroactively after having already
incredibly crazy.
Yeah, so that's kind of BM. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this seems to have been a lot of beef. Jonathan's been pretty shady. I don't know if you've seen on
Oh yeah.
Stuff, so doesn't seem like that was a very cordial separation.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense other than money. And we speculated, earlier on the podcast. I think in the first set we were talking about David and his exit. Him obviously being the replacement host. The idea that David has $5 million, right? It's probably a lot easier for them to sell him on a little bit of a smaller contract than Jonathan, which does suck because I think Jonathan's a really good host.
Yeah, no, agreed. So I guess do we want to get to the international players blowing themselves up for no reason?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, right? Because we see Tommy win immunity, and we've talked on the Blindsiders historically about people kind of using immunity as a way to play more aggressively and take bigger risks than they otherwise wouldn't take because they have the safety blanket. And I think that's kind of like the idea that Tommy goes for here, and he kind of vocalizes that in his confessionals.
Yeah, I turned right to Jenny and I was like, immunity balls, At least I guess it won't blow up on him, but it did. It did blow up on him that night.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because it didn't seem like the plan was very well thought out. And if it was well thought out, it wasn't well executed. There was something that went wrong here, right? And it's hard for us to really evaluate what exactly went wrong because we only get snippets of it in order to, set up the craziness that happens at Tribal, and we have to, as the audience, not know everything in order for us to kind of have the full experience of what plays out. But it would have been nice to kind of get a little bit more, because from what all of them are saying, both in Tribal Council, in confessionals, in their exit confessionals after they get voted out, it feels like the Parvati blindside got called off somewhere between when that discussion that we saw between Cass, Tommy, and Lisa happened and Tribal Council. But still, Lisa goes to Luke and Shawnee and tells them, hey, the votes are on Parvati, but I'm not voting for Parvati, but you guys should vote for Parvati. Yeah. It's unclear whether it got called off before that conversation that Lisa had or after. Maybe Lisa got bad vibes off of that and was like, yeah, I don't think that we have the votes. I don't think that the Aussies are actually going to vote for Parv, and then they call it off. I don't know. It's very hard to know when the blindside got called off.
Yeah, I would imagine after that conversation, because I don't see why Lisa would have that conversation.
I mean, I don't. I'm hard pressed to understand a lot of what Lisa did in episodes 7 and 8. So
Yeah, that was disappointing. She had a lot of hype coming into the season. I wonder, she just must have gotten overwhelmed with the super fan of it all. Much easier to betray these randos in New Zealand than it was to betray people she's idolized, I guess.
yeah, I think that's part of it, right? Like, obviously, like, she's made it clear that Suri is her favorite player of all time, and like there is an element of like kind of fangirling that is going on. Of like, I would rather Suri win than me. I think part of it is like when you've already won. Like we talked about this with like JT's history with the show and his returns. That when you come back, you're kind of playing with house money, and like you almost like are more willing to take like larger swings because you already have the one win under your belt. And like, you must feel like you have to. And then also like, you're not as like hard pressed to like win again because you've already kind of proven that you can. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was a little bit of it. And I think that her wanting to quit was a lot of that as well. And just like, we're probably screwed either way here, but maybe Tommy can figure something out.
Yeah, and she's not the first winner to like pull something like this in an end game, right? Like when Winners at War, we see both Denise and Ben kind of pull similar things.
That is like one of the downsides, I guess, of bringing winners back is them just not feeling like you have anything to prove. And it's almost like a little bit of the opposite of JT, where JT's like, I have nothing to prove, so I'm just gonna, throw everything at the wall and whatever sticks. And if I get voted off, well, it is what it is. I'm gonna strand my tribe mates in the middle of the ocean while I go find a hidden immunity idol. That was very fun.
And then not even bring it to tribal and get blindsided with it sitting on the beach. Yeah.
The Game Changers JT experience was very insane.
Yeah.
Insane to rewatch Tocantins after that. We're like, what happened to this guy? But yeah, no, like you said, with Ben and Denise, much to our chagrin at the time, obviously we weren't covering the show yet, but we didn't love that they kind of rolled over, especially where Denise was your winner pick, and maybe could have possibly won. I don't know if she just felt like we'll never know because she gave up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's hard. Like maybe she beats. I don't know what the votes look like. I mean, she probably beats Ben. I think like looking at other people in that end game, like maybe she beats Nat or Michelle. I don't know. It's like kind of difficult. But it kind of depends on how Natalie and Michelle's game is perceived in terms of, obviously Tony and Sarah would have to get taken out in that circumstance.
Yeah, if Denise is the leader for getting Sandra, Tony, and Sarah out, she wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, it is definitely disappointing. You don't want like anybody to quit from a perspective, especially like in this kind of way, right? Like I understand, like I'm relatively soft on quitters, I think, compared to the average person, the fan base, because I think that most quits are like somewhere between medevacs that just weren't bad enough to get pulled and like mental health medevacs. And there's like maybe somewhere in the realm of like 10 to 20% of quits that are like just genuinely disappointing. And I can understand at the very least, like, about, I would say roughly 80% of quits from my experience. And then this is like one of those situations where it's like, I'm going to quit so that somebody else can win instead of me. It's like, then why are you here?
No, it's disappointing. And like I said, especially with the hype coming into the season of Lisa, watch her play like that. It sucks. But hopefully people aren't too hard on her. It seems like the whole experience was somewhat overwhelming for her. So, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate that she wanted Suri to win. Like,
Yeah,
she's
I
real
mean,
for that.
it's weird because like if she wanted Suri to win, she should not have wanted to quit because like her being in the game and not Tommy, like it was like she changed her mind, right? She was like, I want Tommy to win. And they're like, okay, we're voting out Tommy. And she's like, okay, well, I guess now I want Suri to win. And it's like, okay, well, so you're just like picking a new person to like throw your game away for.
Yeah. I have a question, but do you think this solves like should US Survivor adopt this strategy of like you are perfectly like allowed to quit. It's not going to stop what we're doing here.
I mean, I didn't mind this in this specific circumstance because it was like I'm going to quit to fall on my sword to save somebody else who was going to get voted off instead situation. But I don't really think that's most quits. I think that's like a very rare circumstance. So I don't really think that.
And I mean, we saw it in Survivor 45.
Yeah.
In a similar way.
Yeah, but I mean, even with Sean, it wasn't, or I guess like, even like Hannah, I guess. Yeah, both of them. I guess Hannah more so, right? Like, I mean, like both of them otherwise, I think still would have quit. Yeah. Like, that wasn't like their primary motive. Their primary motive wasn't like, I need to say, like, because like Hannah cared more, if anything, about Brandon. But like Brandon was actually safe that round, and Emily was the one who was in danger. So Hannah quitting actually, if anything, hurt Brandon because he wasn't going home anyways, and she would have been an ally for him. And he just gets voted out the next time anyways. So I don't really see either of the 45 quits in the same light. Like both of those were just felt to me like they wanted to quit, and they like retroactively rationalized it as they were quitting as kind of like pseudo falling on the sword.
Yeah, no, I was glad though that Jonathan was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I think it works, but I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think this is a universal way to deal with quitters. I think that like, I think the way to deal with quitters is to just make them quit at not tribal council. Like, this is my whole thing that I've talked about multiple times, and we see with D and the Sean vote or the Sean quit, I guess, in 45, trying to still vote out Sifu. Like, if I'm there and somebody's begging to quit and wants to get voted out rather than just outright quitting, like there's no shot in hell I'm ever voting them out. And like same here with we see Tommy and Lisa. You don't vote somebody out who wants to quit. Like it's just bad gameplay. Make them quit.
No, totally agree. Kind of playing off of that, do you think Suri should have fought harder to keep Lisa in the game?
It's tough because like it feels like this 4 that we are left with at the end of episode 9 is like the 4th kind of been in place since like the Kirby blindside. And like that's kind of been like the plan that has percolated since that point. But like I guess like how does Suri do that, right? Like how does Suri save Lisa and then transition that into a winning end game? Because like with Luke having an idol, burning Luke and Janine at 6, even if like you're able to flip Shani, like I guess the play would be to like completely like snow and blindside Luke there, but like it's really tricky to do that. I don't know. I feel like they just didn't trust Shani to actually follow through and something like that. And also Lisa was very non-committal even still, whilst being like this kind of on the out swing vote situation. Like she played the 6th round, I think, even worse almost than the 7 or 8 round.
Yeah, no, it's just like when someone's like playing for you, it's just like, oh, should you keep them? Should you not? I feel like in a very rare position for Suri to be in right now. She might get to the end and not win.
Yeah.
And like that sucks.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at too right now. I don't think Suri has outs to win, unfortunately. I think the winner is probably Parvati, and if not Parvati, like an outside shot on Luke. I think that
Yeah.
If you have to give me like Vegas odds, I'm saying 80% Parvati wins, 20% Luke wins. I don't think Suri or Janine can win.
No, I totally agree with that. I just think that if Parv doesn't win, I'm going to be very confused.
No, this has been Parv's season. Like, it's Parv. I agree. If Parv doesn't win, then like the storytelling of the season has been a fucking wreck. It doesn't make any sense.
I was like looking at the average confessional, and obviously, Australian Survivor has always been criticized for their confessional distribution, but she's averaging like 7.5 confessionals an episode.
Yeah, no, she has way more confessionals this season than in Micronesia, which is her winning season. Like,
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
So like, if she doesn't
season too.
Yeah. So like, there's like, it would be flabbergasting to me, I think, if Parv doesn't win the season. And like, I think at this point, the conversation has to happen. If like, is she the GOAT? Because like, this season has been a fucking masterclass from her. The fact that she's at the final four, she got through with an idol and an advantage. She tore the advantage up, never needed it, never needed to play her idol. Despite being on the hot seat, almost every single tribal council she's attended, she has not received a vote against her. Like, how are we here with Suri? Like, how is she at the final four with Suri, never used her idol or advantage, never received a vote against her? Yeah. How?
I don't understand it. The only thing I can think is Yule's the one person in the whole world who's immune to Parvati's like charm as the only person to ever vote her off 2 times. And if she gets to the end, those are be the only 2 times she didn't get to the end while playing Survivor, which is insane also. But you know me, Ben. I love Sandra. One of my all-time favorites. Like, I'll always go to war for Sandra. Even though this is a shortened season, if Parv wins, to me, she has proven over her 5 seasons that she's the best Survivor player.
Yeah, I think I agree for sure. Like this, like if this was like a really like middling performance where she kind of backed into a win, like, you know, I think it might be up in the air. But like she's been dominant from fucking day one, like, and hasn't slowed down, and like has made crazy plays. The bluff with the knowledge is power to like trick Cass into, you know, not playing the idol for herself. Like there's like legitimate, you know, gameplay that she's done in order to get herself to this point. And it feels like literally everybody in this end game, and even people not in this end game, like Kirby, have like just been trying to hand her the win. Like,
right.
Like, literally like
it's a little bit like JT.
Yeah, a little like JT 1.0. Like it really does kind of feel like that, where we're in what's supposed to be the greatest, you know, amalgamation of Survivor players the world has ever seen. And like a third of them are just trying to make Parvati the winner. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what? How is this happening?
No, it's crazy.
She's just that good, I think. I think she's literally just that good.
Yeah. And like, it's kind of funny because much like Micronesia, she probably was in the most trouble in the first round of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then
and Here's versus Villains.
And Here's versus Villains, yeah. And then it didn't happen, and then it's like you just can't get rid of her now. Like, she's too good at integrating herself into, you know, the hierarchy of power. And, you know, like, Rob should have just straight up targeted her, like straight up, and just been like, Parv's probably the best player here. We need to get rid of her. That's my whole reasoning. But instead he was like weird and, you know, too strong army, and, you know, tried to keep Parv in the game while also getting rid of threats, and it didn't work. And now she's probably going to win.
Yeah, it is weird because like it feels like Suri has been her shield this whole game, because like every time that like random votes get kind of flitted their way, they've all gone towards Suri. And it's like, I think, you know, both of us love Suri. I think both of us have Suri really high up in terms of our, you know, ratings of competition reality players across the board. But like, it is very odd that Suri is the one getting all the heat when, from what at least we can tell from here, from a both competition like challenge perspective and from a jury perspective and from a strategy perspective, like Parvati has had like her claws in this game like across the board. It's very odd that Suri is the one catching heat when like it feels like Parv is the much like higher priority target.
Yeah, well, it's a huge testament to her where it's like people recognize her power and like how Suri plays into it, but they want to still play with her.
Yeah.
So they're like, I can weaken her, but keep her by getting rid of Suri. And Parv's just like, that's not going to happen. So,
yeah, it's great. I mean, it really, I think also something that she's done really well this season is this idea that Tommy vocalizes right before he goes home, which is like, you come for her vocally and publicly, and then she immediately turns it on that person and they get eliminated. Like it happened with Rob, it happened with Tony, it happened with Cass, it happened with Tommy.
Yeah,
like just like putting the fear in people that like, hey, if you say my name, you are not surviving until tomorrow. Yep. And like that's like legitimately you know, if you can pull that off, that's a very, very, you know, scary strategy.
Yeah, no, and she's been so good at it this time. And I think she, you know, one, she's just great at winning people over, but she's so like disarming where like people will come at her rightfully as like she's a huge threat, and she's like, what? Me? Like, you're being crazy right now. Like, and you know, that's part of the turning it on it. And you know, an underrated part of these social strategy games is you know, gaslighting people. And that's a good example of just like, if someone comes at you, you can, you know, be like, no, they're being crazy. Like they're like, I didn't do anything, you know, and work. And in Tony's situation, she really didn't want Tony to get out. But like once he did that, it was like, okay, well, yeah, you have to be out. But like, yeah, I don't know. She's just so good. It's been such a pleasure to watch her this season. And I need her to win now. You know, I need, like, in order for this to be a satisfactory ending, I need Parv to be the winner.
Yeah, I can't imagine her not being the winner right now. Like like the Luke thing feels to me like such a you know, a distraction. Like you know, he's like the decoy potential, like, you know, winner equity thing. Like Luke legitimately voted incorrectly for like the first 5 rounds of the game. Like he had no clue what the hell was going on until he got taken under the Parv and Suri wing. And like only the last couple of votes has he really been like locked in on. And he's also been immune. So like, you know, you could argue like if he doesn't have immunity, if he doesn't have an idol, is he like really going to be in the spot that he's in right now? Maybe, maybe not. You know, the way that he played the like Parv thing with the knowledge is power, tearing up the advantage, going back to her and be like, actually, I didn't have an idol. Like that to me just makes him look really dumb and bad. So I feel like that whole sequence like wouldn't need to be necessarily like shown, because it didn't really play out in any meaningful way other than like this loyalty test they did at the final 5-6. So I don't know. I feel like the show's kind of gone out of its way to like bury Luke a little bit.
I mean, even his number one ally didn't include him in probably her biggest move of the season. So it's like, him winning does nothing for me, you know? Like I like Luke well enough. He's fine. But if he wins, I'm going to be like, oh, that's a little disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Especially here because like, for me, like obviously Parv is in the driver's seat in this end game from my perspective. And we have a situation where you're like, should Suri have tried to keep Lisa? And I think that's like a, you know, it's like a Parv and Suri question. And it's like, I feel like they're fine without keeping Lisa. Like one of them is, you know, in a position to win the game either way. And like the issue with Suri is it's going to be hard for her to win a challenge or win a fire making. And if she's sitting next to Parv probably beats her in a jury vote. Like that's kind of the issue with Suri's game for me. Whereas like Parv is kind of basically just set up right now to be the likely winner. So like the like Lisa question I think is like more up in the air. But for Luke, I think Luke had so many opportunities in this end game to put himself into a position to win, and it feels like every opportunity he's made the decision to play to not lose, right? Which we talked about a lot.
Yeah. No, he did. He probably did need to pull a move at this final 5, and he just took the safe route.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fully blame him as someone who's never won the game. Like, I get it. I get, like, he can see the path to the finals.
Yeah.
And he probably thinks he has a good shot at winning the finals. So, like, I definitely get it from that perspective. But, like, in order to, like, win, he probably did need to pull one over on Parv. But the move would have been to vote Parv off and bluff her into thinking it was Suri.
Yeah, I think that, like, say, let me try to think about I've been running through the scenarios, right? To like try to figure out what the most likely outcomes are. And it feels like the option is either, I think it's going to be Suri in a fire making against either Luke or Janine. I think it's her versus Luke if Luke loses immunity, and her versus Janine if Luke wins immunity. That's my guess. That's kind of what it feels like is being set up here. So say in one of those scenarios, Luke either beats Suri in fire making or wins final immunity, and he's sitting in the end with, I guess, Parv and Janine, right? That would be the trio. And somebody on the jury goes to Luke and says, "What did you do in the game to get here, other than to do what Parvati wanted you to do?" Yeah. Like, what decision did you make in the game that wasn't something that Parvati wanted you to do? And there's really no answer for him. Like, there's just nothing for him to say, because like all of his moves up until he started working with Parvati failed. He was completely on the outs, had no idea what was going on, voted incorrectly. And then from the second he started working with Parvati on, he didn't do anything to bolster his own position, and only was working towards an end game where him and Parvati were sitting in the final 2-3 together. So what is his answer?
There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, other than win immunities.
Yeah, other than win immunities. Yeah. Even like, I guess he could be like, he didn't have any control. Never mind. I was going to say like, oh, well, he didn't go with David and George at the beginning, but it's like, yeah, well, he tried to like go with David at least. So it didn't matter.
Yeah. He just has nothing. He like, like the argument could be like, oh, I helped like dismantle the world tribe during the cast boot. Like that's like kind of it. That's like the one thing he might be able to point to. But like that was more Lisa misplaying and leaving this hole than like anything the Aussies did in particular, right? Because like Parv and Suri were already headed into that tribal council feeling uncomfortable with what was going on because they saw the conversation that Lisa was having with Shani and Luke. Like that wasn't a thing that the Aussies did. That was like a misplay that Lisa made that was capitalized upon by them kind of incidentally.
Yep. No, agreed. I guess we want to just kind of talk a little bit about Shani and like probably nothing she could have done at this point other than win immunity, right? She put out the case to both sides, and neither of them found it more compelling than just staying pat, right?
Yeah, I think if Luke doesn't win this immunity, and like the people who seem to be mostly in contention were Luke and Shani, but Parv was in there with like a shot at the very end. So like, right. Say Parv wins this immunity, right? And she has the idol. She can give her idol to Suri, and then she can maybe have a situation where the three of them, like Parv, Suri, and Shani, blindside Janine, and then they go into the final 4 with a 3 versus 1 against Luke. Like, I think that's a scenario where Shani might have been in a position to do something. But I think as soon as Luke won immunity and Parv and Serene know that he has an idol, or like at least suspect that he has an idol because he tells them and then does, and then and tries to backtrack. Like there's nothing for them to do to flip it against Luke and Janine. And especially after Luke pulls the like stunt he does at Tribal. And I don't think Luke and Janine were ever realistically going to flip, even though Luke seemed to consider it at the last minute. So yeah, I think it's just bad luck, right? That each side had an idol, and the side that would have been probably more content to potentially work with her wasn't the one that won the immunity.
Yeah. This is kind of like the way it goes with Shawnee, really.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, she ran out of steam at the end, or, it just didn't work out for her. It's disappointing, but it's the Shawnee survivor story at this point.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I think that, like, maybe Parv obviously after the Kirby blindside talked about how like she didn't feel good about it and she thought it was not a good move, or it might have been too early for her to do that. I think if anything, the person whose game fell apart after the Kirby blindside, it was Shawnee, because she had no like runway left or path left to go anywhere from there at that point, and it didn't really feel like she put in like the work to even try to find a new path. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously Shawnee was not a part of that. Like she was also blindsided in that vote. But like even just like flipping on Parv and Suri in that moment and like kind of setting up a scenario where they kind of were forced to vote out Kirby was just a mistake, I think. I think anybody was supposed to run it down towards the end with Parv and Suri was probably Shawnee, because we didn't have a lot of other options.
Yeah, I mean Shawnee really. As much as she wanted to get her revenge on George for what happened in Heroes versus Villains, playing with George was probably her best route, because George was going to be the one taking the heat, in their alliance. I don't think George would have betrayed her again, but do you want to be Shawnee and trust George again just to get blindsided again? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hindsight thing, right? Yeah, it's tricky. I think probably the move at the George boot, in a perfect world, they get out like Janine there, but like on top of George being George, you also have Sarah pulling her shit, and like it's really like it's going to be hard to wrangle Sarah. So like I don't know. I think a lot of the issues with the Aussies were just like the other Aussies getting in each other's way and like playing kind of illogically and chaotically in a lot of situations. And assuming Parv is the winner here, like the reason that the Aussies don't win this season, like as a collective, is because they didn't play with like any kind of like single-minded goal for like even in a selfish capacity. It felt like all of them were kind of like really just like kind of juggling balls that like didn't even need to be in the air.
Yep. No, agreed. And I do think to like defend them a little bit, it is harder for that tribe with all the intersecting relationships and all the past like playing with each other, for it to have these like do I really trust that person? Like, should I, Shawnee, will I look stupid if I play with George again and he just votes me off? That kind of stuff. Like David coming in as the winner and Golden God and like obvious first boot. It's more intertwined than, Tony, Parv, Suri, Legends of American Survivor. Tony played with Suri, but not really, played with Parv, but not really. Like they were never on the same beach. And then all the international players didn't play with one another, and they didn't play with any of the Americans. And then Suri and Parv are good friends who have historically worked together. And in their, one time where they couldn't go to the end together, Amanda won immunity and voted Suri off. It wasn't even Parv who like betrayed Suri. So it's a lot easier for them to fully trust one another than the Aussies had. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that like the parallel, I guess, on the Aussie tribe would be like Luke and Janine, who seem to have like obviously there is history there, but like it felt like easier to squash history than a lot of the other history.
Yeah.
And obviously them independently wanting to work with David and then like kind of experiencing that first vote and being on the wrong side of it together.
Yeah,
is
because
like
you
a
were
lot of
both on
experience.
champions versus contenders too, right?
Yes.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like, from
believe.
leader off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's easier when Janine is like, yeah, I'm willing to work with you.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, well, Luke's like, I don't have any animosity towards Janine. And if Janine's like chill, then then they can work together.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, so I guess like, is there anything specific? I guess we can talk about Cass because I think like we haven't really talked about Cass because we've talked about Tommy crashing and burning a little bit, and we've also talked about like Lisa making a lot of mistakes. If anyone, in my opinion, got screwed here, it was Cass because like I don't really think he made like many mistakes, and it felt like Tommy and Lisa's mistakes just bounced back onto her.
No, agreed. And I'll say this, Cass.
Obviously, not playing the idol for herself was a mistake, but that's it.
Yeah. But she got snowed by Parv. Better, I don't want to say better players because I want to say I loved her this season. One of my probably favorite players that I've seen play Survivor in a while, and it was crushing that it ended this way for Cass.
Yeah, I think that like I really appreciated her like just not stopping fighting at the tribal council, and then also like you could just see the visible frustration with her where like Lisa is just sitting there and kind of like letting shit happen around them. And Parv's like, well, if Lisa's, honest with like me and like was working with me, then like, why is she just sitting there and not even trying to talk to me? And, Cass like, I don't know why she's doing that.
And it's hard for her because like you said at the beginning of the show, it really did seem like they were not trying to blindside Parv going into tribal council. And she wasn't the one who pitched the idea in the first place. Yeah. So it's like just so unlucky that it bounced back on her. And she got bluffed where, she probably would have played the idol for herself without the bluff from Parv. Yeah,
it may be. I mean, it looked like she might have been voting, playing it for Lisa anyways. And then the bluff happened. And then she was like, I'm playing it for Lisa though. And I was like, oh, okay, well, never mind then. So
in that case,
so I actually don't know if the bluff actually did anything. It's like hard to really kind of piece out whether it actually did anything or if it was just kind of like a flashy move. But regardless, I think it bouncing back on her when she was like the least responsible is also just like really heads up decision making in the moment from Parv, who was the one who initially pushed it. Because like I think Parv is realizing that she's the dangerous player out of the three, and the other two are just kind of bumbling a bit.
Yeah, I think a few things break differently for Cass this season. She could have won.
Yeah, well, she plays the idol for herself, and then Shawnee goes at that point. And it's kind of a tricky scenario, right? Because, like, presumably they do the same twist. Say Luke still wins, right? Like, is like, what happens from there? I don't even know, right? Like,
she could just be like, Parv, like, you saw, I really was with you, like, I'm willing to forgive it, but who knows? We need to interview her to be like, what would you have done if this,
It's like if you play if you play the idol for yourself and Johnny went, like, what would happen next? And I think a lot of that also honestly just comes down to Parv and Sari more so than them. Like obviously, I think she makes the pitch that you're saying, but it's just a matter of whether Parv and Sari buy it and whether they like believe that like the blindside wasn't in place coming in and they just swapped to Shawnee last minute to try to save face because they knew the blindside on Parv wasn't happening. And I don't know. It's hard because like the votes did come through on Shawnee, well, 2 on Shawnee and 1 on Janine. So it's really kind of tricky to say whether anything really different happens, even if the idol play is successful and Shawnee goes, because even after Parv and Sari see that Tommy and Lisa didn't vote for her, they still stick with Luke and Janine anyways and vote them out. The next, the immediate round for the double elimination, and then also the next round. So like, I don't know whether the plea would have worked. It might have just like shifted all of the boots down one extra, and instead of like Shawnee at 5, it's Lisa that's still in the final 5, which probably would have been much better for Parv and Sri even. So like, if anything, like if anyone got screwed by the bluff that Parv did, it was Parv.
Right. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed her. I saw someone say, like, I hope her inclusion on this season makes her an Australian Survivor player and she can come back for another season if she wants to, because I don't think I'm going to be able to watch Survivor Quebec. So, but I would like to see her play again.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, probably the biggest surprise for me this season, because I didn't really, her and Tommy were the two that I had very little information on coming in. And yeah, definitely like very much impressed me. Obviously the idol play notwithstanding, but I think that she knew that was a risk, and that was like kind of a risk she was willing to take.
Right.
But I think that like once Parv backs down from the bluff, I think you have to be like, oh, she's backing down because it's me and I should vote use it for myself. So.
Oh man. Well, yeah, it's been a great season, Ben. It really has.
Yep.
And
really excited for it. Yep.
Yeah. When do we want to record? Monday night or Sunday night?
Maybe Sunday night, maybe Monday night. We'll figure it out.
All right. Yeah. We'll be back as this hopefully ends in a very exciting and satisfactory way.
Yeah, I am. I am glad. I think that we're getting Suri on season 50, because it is like we said earlier. I feel like she is not going to end up being the winner of the season, unfortunately, and we are going to get another situation of Suri going deep into a season and then losing at the very end. So yeah, we'll see how she does. We'll see how her story ends here and how that translates into her gameplay on 50, I guess.
Yeah, should be good. And, I saw an interview with her saying that this helped her prepare for 50 because, she'd never played a game so fast before. And this was a much sped up game, and it got her kind of in the mindset to attack the 26-day season. So if nothing else, that'd be great. Imagine Parvs wins this and Suri wins 50. We'd be, spoiled.
What a brilliant, year of Survivor that would be. And on top of that, I think like something that has stood out to me this season is like Suri's done very well in a lot of these physical challenges, like much better than she's historically done. Like she's coming in like third to like Parvati and Luke and like Cass in a lot of these challenges, who are like really top tier physical competitors. Like she's like in there with a shot in a lot of these challenges in situations where like, you wouldn't have expected her. When she was like much younger to have competed at this level. So like it definitely feels like she's put in the work to get into better shape physically for this season, and also headed into 50 presumably.
Yeah, man, that version of the ball challenge, Motion.
Yeah.
God damn, that's hard. What hard twist on it.
Yeah, it's messed up. It feels like every Australian challenge is like, let's take like a pretty chill American challenge and like to turn the physicality up like 100%. Yep.
Crazy. So crazy. But it is fun to watch. It's good. And we'll see what happens. Ben, anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
No, excited for the finale. We're going to be talking about Big Brother here soon. Hopefully the end, this last month of Big Brother 27 is also really good. We'll see. It's, giving me gray hairs for sure watching this season. And then, we're coming up on Survivor 49. The Survivor 49 cast came out, and we'll be talking about that season in a few weeks as well, which is crazy.
Yeah, we finally get to meet the Bridge God. Finally.
Yeah. We get to like, come into the season with like, unfortunately almost very loose spoilers, because we know the two competitors on season 50. So we know that they're at least relevant, but like, we talked before, Michaela Bradshaw, right? Like, everyone expected her to be this huge player on Millennials vs. Gen X because everyone knew that she was on Game Changers and she goes out pre-merge. So, who
That
knows?
made it more surprising, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? We can't.
That episode, probably the best episode of Millennials vs. Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see. Like Ben said, check out the Have Not Room. We're talking about Big Brother. Main channel, Wicked Good Everything, Those Fake Nerds, Wicked Good Sports, Wicked Scary, all of it. Go check them out. And we'll see you in the next one where we crown a winner for the Olympics of Survivor.